Hey everybody. Yes, I gotta clarify some stuff for some people. And granted, I know everybody is not going to be like me and have access to all these tools. Sorry, I'm kind of out of frame. Back's killing me, and I'm going to sit down and do this and hopefully show you guys everything. Here we have is a standard bore 350 that's been decked. And I'm going to explain something. This has been decked, but it hasn't been bored. And right here, we've got a very sharp edge around the cylinder. Around that. That's sharp. It's sharp. So, it hasn't been chamfered. Okay. Nothing's been done to this other than cleaning the block and decking it. It's got a nice finish here on the deck now. And let's see how... I mean, look at how sharp that is. It's crisp. If you would try to put a piston in now with rings, you would either break the piston or break the rings because they'll catch right there. I don't care what you do. The bevel hasn't been put on this yet. Well, and there's no reason to bevel that yet because once you have it bored and honed, most of the guys will put the bevel on before the honing. That way, because you don't want a big bevel there. Because the more you bevel that, it may not look like much. But if you put a 1/4 inch wide bevel there, that's going to affect your compression. It's going to mess with your compression. And it'll mess with the gasket seals. And it'll mess, yes, it will mess with things. So, these are all just sharp cut and everything. So, here, okay. And I know you guys, a lot of you don't have tools like I do. I've got what they call a telescoping gauge here, or snap gauge, some others refer to, because you loosen it and snap it out, and it'll find center, and you lightly tighten it, and then you roll it over, and then that's your bore. And that's when you get out your... Tried being prepared, but I don't know if I'm too prepared for this, but... This one. And you always make sure you're... Oh. I wasn't paying attention. Okay, we'll do that again. You gotta keep your snap thing right there. Now you can take your micrometer and measure and see. Well, you guys can't see what I'm doing. Okay, I'm trying to. And you use the thumb screw because that's designed to, as soon as it clicks. Now, that cylinder is oh, this one doesn't have the veneer part on it. But eyeballing, oh yes it does. It is 1 oh god, I can't. It's a 1.5 thousandths oversized was right there. And you guys, the first 1/4 inch of the cylinder, unless somebody's ridge reamed that, you don't want to measure there. And if you do measure there and you get, because you got to measure where the wear is, and the wear starts just over a 1/4 inch, maybe closer to the 3/8 inches down in the cylinder. That's where your wear starts. So we'll go, you know what, we're going to go right across the top. We're going to get a measurement right there and see what that is. And with that, that's in the non-wear, and it's bigger already, I can tell you that. I had to back the, or it's tighter. Oh wait, no. God darn it, come on guy. Yeah, oh okay. Oh, okay. Then I thought that was okay. I got a feeling this one had the red dream cut on it once before. It is. Okay. Okay, let me think for... I'm sorry, I've had a heck of a day. Oh, I haven't had much sleep lately. Okay, to get it down to 4-inch, to make it smaller, this cylinder right here, up here in the wear, if it doesn't have the ring ridge cut, is 1, 2, 3 thousandths bigger than 4 inches. That one's already. So let's check this number one here. Oh, this one's even worse because, yeah. And this is up in the non-wear. Where the non-wear is supposed to be. Yeah, somebody's running a rig dreamer through that one. That's almost 6 thousandths bigger there. We'll go, and this is where the nowhere is supposed to be. So let's see what the. See, this is block I had done in a video before. And showed you guys everything. Okay, going that way. We went from there to there. And we were over 5 thousandths. Now going from here to the top. We are 3 thousandths over. So this cylinder right here, from there to there to there, is already 2 thousandths egg-shaped. 2 thousandths. Okay, since we're dealing with number one. Okay, now this cylinder bore gauge is set for 4-inch for a standard board 350. And let's see if I can get it to stay up here in the non-wear. Yeah, that's confirming the same thing. That should have measured 4 inches, and it's not. I'll go down here in the bottom of the cylinder below the wear, and 1.5 thousandths too small. I mean too big, sorry. If it was too small, it would be on this side of the needle, and it's on the short side of the needle. So there's 1.5 thousandths there. Go mid-cylinder, check it. 2.5 thousandths. Then up here, holy moly, up here at the top of the ring wear, 5, it's almost 6 thousandths bigger. But here below, okay, from where there's supposed to be no wear to the wear It's exactly 5 thousandths now. Slide down into the wear. Come on, get down there. And it jumped. Okay. It jumped up to 8.5, 9 thousandths. So just right from that 1/4 inch or so down to the top ring, jumped 3 thousandths. There's no way it'll hold a ring. No way. And here's another. I got a couple of different ways of checking. Boy, these poor standard rings, I may not get to use them. They have gotten rusty. Oh well. Got a couple ways of checking your ring gaps. And you want to check the ring gap about a 1/2 inch down in the hole. Or what some guys will do is use a piston, take the first ring out, and have the second ring in there. That's this one way. And then you just push it down. It gets the piston in there square. Then you come with the feeler gauge, which is in the box, thank goodness. And then you go in and measure your ring gap, which I can tell you right now is tremendous. 10, 18, 18 plus 6, 24 thousandths. Oh, yeah. No, that's way too much. 24 to 28, 27, 29. Let's see what 29. I mean, I could see right there, it's bad. So, okay. 29 is a little too much. So we took 2 thousandths off. Okay, well, take another 3 thousandths. So we take. So, yeah. So we're down to 10, 18, 28 thousandths. 18 plus 10 is 28 thousandths. 28 thousandths on this ring gap already. It's too much. Way too much. Never hold rings. And what happens with that, since that cylinder goes small, does this, gets smaller at the bottom, that ring will sit in there and go, at the bottom it'll be tight, and as it travels up, it's going to open up. Up, down, up, down. It's going to flex, and then eventually, somewhere over here, that ring's going to snap. It's not going to work. You can't. Yes, it'll run, but it's not going to run like you expect, and it won't run long. And with that being like that, since the cylinder is egg-shaped and there's too much gap, what that does then, it starts letting the compression down past the rings, and the carbon, the exhaust gases start getting down in here. So here is a standard bore piston, and then you check the diameter on these about mid-skirt. Your piston manufacturer will tell you where to check them. And that's a okay, right here, below where it's supposed to be checked, it is 398. Down here at the skirt, it is 399 in the veneer, and here in the middle with the wrist pin, it's 399. So if that's the case, you got a 399 piston, you got 399 there, and we'll go in here. We'll take the ring out since we know. We'll go in here. Actually, I'll go top-wise, because this is where your thrust is, all that's going to be. Okay, now we'll measure this. So okay, 399, and from the 99 to what the cylinder bore is, it is 1, 2, about 2.5, 3 thousandths. Everybody's going, oh, that's good, that's good. But remember, the cylinder is egg-shaped, so we go further down in here. Down there at the bottom of the cylinder, guess what that measures? 399. Got a problem here, don't we? So yeah, with that being said, let's see once. Oh yeah, let's see if I can roll this. Let's see how this goes. Yeah, she fits, but the main problem you're going to have, we'll get this in here so nobody says, what you're going to have though, look at, we got that much, top to bottom's pretty sloppy, but side to side. Alright, now we do the same thing, go this way. I mean, she just wallows around. Granted, being on the rod, it shouldn't have that side to side movement, but when you can, like I said, when you measure this, we're 5 thousandths there, 2 thousandths there, still in the wear, and 2.5 thousandths there, and back out of the wear area. Down to 1. So and then we'll go this way and check. Two and a half. One. And then up here close to the top of the wear, that top ring area, and that's your compressor ring, that's 4 thousandths. So 4, 2, and 1. That's 3 thousandths taper in the cylinder. And you rev a motor, 1,000 RPM. 1,000. That means that spring. Basically that's what this is. This spring will sit in there and flex back and forth 3,000 times a minute. How long do you think that thing's going to work until it snaps? That's what I'm getting at. And I know you guys don't have access to a lot of this stuff. This stuff is, this gauge is actually cheap. I mean, I got a whole kit of them. I think 20 bucks. When I bought my micrometer set, I was a little leery of it. Had the guy verify it. He had the same set, and we sat there and we used the gauges and everything, checked them between his set and my set. These are on. I paid $50 for this set of micrometers in that box there. And another way to I'll show you something here. This tool, I think it's still made, but I haven't been able to find it. This was for 350, and that did the same thing. It just squared the piston and see actually how far down in does this set it. Bring it up. Yeah, it's about the same. Let's see. Yep. The set's about the same as second groove. And so, yeah. Way too much ring gap. Way too much. The rings won't hold. I know for guys that are just building a motor once and probably never do it again, kind of useless to spend the money, but that's when you go ahead and take your block to the machine shop and let the machinist give it a fine going over. This block needed decked because there were a couple of marks, which wasn't to hurt anything, but everybody threw a fit about it. So I had it machined out, and guess what? It's still here. Nobody wants it. It don't make any sense. So more than likely I've got some 30 over pistons. We're going to end up building this motor, and that if I had more financing and everything, we would put this thing together the way it is with parts, take a compression test on everything, then put it on the engine stand, run it, and then take another compression test, and then we just run it on the engine stand. Just keep running it, different loads, vary the speed, come out here, let it run all day, get some wear time on it, and then start taking a compression test. And I'll guarantee you we'll notice within a few hours of running this, the compression is going to start falling off. It's going to start using oil, and then I would tear it down and show. It's unfortunate I never had the original pistons in that came out of this. I picked it up as a bare block. It was supposed to be in a 302 Chevy block, and it did not have the 302 stamping up here. It had a school bus stamping. But now if this was going a car I didn't really give a rat's butt about, yeah, I might just run it, and it is what it is. But right now, like I said, I've checked all this and then checked all these cylinders before and another one, and they're all egg shaped. They're all egg shaped. So, and sometimes doing this is when you need a buddy that does this stuff and has the tools to say, hey, either can I borrow your tools, or can you got time if I either bring the block over, or can you come, or you could come over and measure this stuff for me so I know it's good. So that's the oh, the other one's in the cylinder. I was like, where'd I go with it? I want to put it back with that set, but see, these are getting rusty, so you know that floor paint off the floor motor, that might be what these get used in, because since they're rusty, I probably won't put them in a good motor. This is kind of being made in response. I mean, some of you guys that are working on Motor Snack, I got a playlist over on the left. If you go to my homepage, there's a playlist on doing a motor, a few motors, and I talk about how the importance is of a good smooth deck and everything. And granted, if you're grinding and you slip and go across your deck, almost guarantee you gotta have the block decked. As you're dealing with cylinder pressures and heat and metal and expansion and contraction, if you got a little gouge going across, it's going to burn. If you got a gouge here, I mean, if it's going across here or here, anywhere, eventually that gasket's going to give out. It may not happen right away. It might take a few thousand miles. It might only take a few hundred. It might even take 5 miles and it will go. I have had that happen to me. I've had a set of heads out. A buddy says, I know what I'm doing. Trust me. That'll get you every time. He did that. We did the heads. I didn't get 5 miles on him before he hung a valve. On a brand new valves, brand new guides, brand new everything. The guy did not clearance the guides right, in 5 miles after taking the motor out and testing it, hung a valve and bent a valve 5 miles. And at that time it was the only vehicle I had to drive and I needed it to run. So we ended up pulling out the brand new motor to tear it down, to fix it again. Knew we weren't going to have it done because come to find out there was no more guides in the machine shop where we were working. They were out. They had to have to get some. So over in the corner was a 400 small block that they were going to tear down and rebuild, but they didn't get to it. So we did some wheeling and dealing, and 2 o'clock in the morning, we're throwing an old piece of crap, know nothing about 400, into my Camaro, the Camaro, back when I was driving that, so I could get to work by 7. We got her in, got it running, and I made the hour drive from where I was working down to work. And then turned around and went back up the next night, and I said, let me see the head, give me my heads back, and because they said, well, it's going to be a while before we can get it. Was just so I took him to my, at the time was just a good friend of mine, which ended up being later being my father-in-law, and he threatened me to, if I ever let that guy touch another set of heads, he would thread me in and out all 8 cylinders of a small block. We went to go, my buddy and I, we went up to go get new valves for those, and I didn't realize, I thought he just bent the valves. No, my 20216 valves almost didn't fit my double humps when we got back. The guy didn't know what he was doing with the heads. So I've learned, and a lot of the stuff I talk about is because I've gone through it. I have lived it. I have had the messes and the inconvenience of having to rework stuff, and that's where I really try and stress to do it right the first time, or otherwise don't do it at all. Because if I can do, it'll probably fall all the way down in there, which I guess don't care. How can I do that? How can I do that? I really don't want that hitting the floor. Just a second here. I'm going to show. I got something I want to illustrate here. Gravity. Gravity is taking over right now, so we're going to work a little against gravity. Okay, there we go. Well, it still did it. Really? Ha! Yeah. It don't want to slide in that cylinder very good. Well, anyway, before I drop a block on me and then you guys hear me scream like a... Alright, just a second here. No, I did not, actually. Sounds like I got a soft plug in the block to fish out too. Okay. Now, granted it's standing on end, but that's what I wanted to show. Now that I've had this block decked, it's going to be 10 thousandths closer than what? But if it would be ideal if you didn't have to bevel the cylinder. Look at how tight a compression you could end up with there. I mean, everything that you do inside the cylinder right here, in your heads, in your pistons, that all affects your compression ratio. So if you come in and put a big bevel into here, that's going to give another chamber like to your cylinder. That will mess up with your compression. That will mess with how the motor's going to run. It's going to mess with your cam selection. It's going to mess with your head gasket selection. It's just going to mess with everything. It's going to, it may or may not create some problems for you. Let's see here. Let's check something. Oh yeah, this one kind of shows it. Okay. It shows a little bit more of a gap right there. See? If that cylinder was truly round, that would be the even all the way around, but it's oversized. It's been either ridge reamed or it's been honed too much, or yeah, it's been cut. It appears to be been cut, but yeah, all these little things, even if you got the pistons with the beveled edge, those are like 8.5 or 9-to-1 pistons. This here flat top will raise it up to a 9-to-1, 10-to-1, depending on the heads you put on top. And also the height where they put the rings at, that'll mess with your compression heights. A lot of things will mess with you and dictate what you can and can't do with your motor. Any decent camshaft that gives you a thumpity thump and good performance usually requires at least a 9.5 to 10-to-1 compression to work. You put a bigger cam in that needed that compression ratio, and you're running the 8.5 with small pistons, 8.5, 9-to-1, it's not going to run like you think. Oh wow, I just realized I thought these were cast pistons, but these are not cast pistons, because cast pistons have got a metal plate in here that they try and reinforce the piston with. This is actually a forged piston. Standard, unfortunately. Too bad they weren't 30 over, but these are forged pistons. I'll be darned. Huh. I guess It's annoying that. If the cylinders were a little more even, yeah, I would hone this thing and put these in there. But since I've got egg-shaped, the rings will never last. They'll never last. Unfortunately, I don't have any pistons that I've ran. I've had somebody say, well, oh, it's normal for all pistons to have car. Okay. Let's see. This one demonstrates it pretty good. See, I got some clean ones and I got some dirty ones. There's one of the real dirty. Okay. Oh! Well. Didn't realize that before. Okay, these are some of the late model 350s. And here is just a plain Jane stalker, dished, beveled edge piston. Surface area on that's compared to the flat top bit. This is just, oh, it'll run. It'll meet federal regulations, but don't put a performance camshaft with something like this. And okay, see, we got a little. And these were high mileage motors. They both had 150. Well, that one had, no, that one was 190,000, and the other one, really not sure. But you see right here, the carbon up above the top ring, that would be normal. The carbon getting down to here, well, that's kind of showing a sign. And you see right here, see how that piston, the ring's dark, and then you get over here and you got some shine on the top side of the ring and on the bottom side of the ring. I mean, see the shine right there? Then it goes away, then it goes back to being dark, then it goes away, then it's shine on the bottom, shine on the top, and dark in the center. That's because the cylinders are out around. But the second ring here, you see how that see that top, oh, the second ring just is broke too. That's what happens with cylinders being out around. The second ring, other than being broke, is shiny all the way across. Well, you notice below it, all the way around the piston, it's clean. The second ring started doing the job that the compression ring should have been doing. The second ring started holding the compression. That's that. And here's one. That the top ring is busted again. Compression made it past the second ring and started to get down around the wrist pins. So this is all exhaust burning right there. And it's dirty under the second ring. Top ring is broke. Yeah. And then up under the head, you can see there's more exhaust burning. This one had it. Oh, and here's the explain. See the metal plate in there? Yeah, you barely see the metal plate right there. Come on. Oh yeah, you just see the edge of the metal. There's a metal plate in there. These are what they call a cast piston. And actually the part number on these are GM 1012824961006. And if you tear down a motor and you've got letter A, B, J, whatever, guess what those were? They were GM's way of fixing overboard blocks from the factory. That's why I care about those. Those lettered pistons were not signs of special built motors. They were signs of, oh, let's turn the newbie loose. Whoops, he overboard some. He overhoned a couple of these cylinders. Now what do we got? Oh, we got some oddball sized pistons over here. We'll slap in there to tighten it up. I have come across where GM has had pistons that were flat like this. And if you guys want to go back and look, and then they had the knobs and that. I have found those in both style pistons in one motor. And those late model motors, those two, they both had. I'm like, you got, how? It's, yeah. So, I guess. Then I had another call. Somebody did some wheeling and dealing, got a Chevy, and it's an older Chevy, it needs work. And they're like, I'm going to give up on it. You know, the problems they described, a couple of hours. I mean, you got to fix the brakes, no big deal. You got to fix the drive shaft, no big deal. But I think it's the love of Ford's taking over, and the fact that it's not a Ford is why I'm like, really? And that's where I'm kind of getting a little flustered here, because it's like I make a suggestion. Granted, I don't claim to know everything or everything. I'm just talking from the real life experience and how things have gone and that, and knowing the failures I've had with the race car motors and that. You'll learn real quick what works and what don't. And I've been asked for help, and then I get, well, I talked to so-and-so. That's where I'm about ready to call quits. Just even doing, I'll just build them. I won't. And I've gotten some good compliments here, like lately, that need more guys like you to explain this stuff. And I am trying to get back to where I'm doing the videos explaining that and trying to pass on the knowledge of fixing stuff and fixing it right the first time. You don't want to be known as the hack and pack shop, not the wrong. You don't want to be known as the cut corners guy. You don't want to do that. I mean, you want to be known as the guy that does it right from the get-go, and you don't ever have anything come back. All the motors I did years ago never come back. There was one that came back, but it was because the boss I had at the time didn't take the intake in and get it cleaned, and we took the intake off a blowed up motor. It's amazing what you can find inside your intake too, especially on a stock small block Chevy intake. You know, the chunks of pistons and rings can get from there in the cylinders up through the valves back into your intake and sit there. And granted, when they blow up, you usually got an oily, sticky mess because the antifreeze and oil, everything's mixed. So that lays there, and by the time you tear down the motor, it's kind of dried out and it works like a plate paste. Then you tell the boss, take it to town. No, just 409 it and wash it off with the garden hose. No, seriously, you need to take it down. And we shook that thing around. We got pieces out of it and thought we had them all. Well, kid we got it in the Cutlass. The kid drove it for a week. And he called up one day. He says, hey, this motor's making noise. Say, what? Come back, and we pulled the motor and we got it off the, well, it was a bought motor from somewhere else. The guy, we didn't build it ourselves. Wish we would have. And we got it hanging there, and I'm looking in the cylinders, and we could see on top of one of the pistons where a ring was bouncing. You could see that a ring had bounced around on top of the piston. So he called up the place and said, well, bring it down, we'll tear it apart, see what it is. And they pulled off the head, and they pulled off the head on that side, and they looked at the name that the guy that built it, and he said, hey, what'd you do to this motor? And he come over, he goes, what? He's like, no way. So, okay, they now got a damaged piston, they're getting ready to tear it down and that. And they get the other head off, and they're like, what the hell? There's no damage on any of the pistons. There's no broken pistons. There's no nothing. We're like, where the heck did the rings come from? And one of the guys took the intake, and he went over and threw it in the hot tank and pulled it out, and yeah, pieces of the previous motor start coming out. He goes, well, that ain't our problem. I said, you're right, it ain't. Yeah. Boss learned to listen then too, because after that, any intake we sold from the junkyard got cleaned and made sure. So yeah, we ended up replacing that piston, or I think we ended up putting in new pistons. I don't remember, but We had to make it right for the kid. Got it right, and then the kid got in a crash of 20 car pileup down at Des Moines during state wrestling, and we talked to the insurance adjuster because they wanted to make sure, they were wondering what was all done to that motor for the insurance, and we told them and they said, "Oh, how about we buy it back?" He says, "Trust me, you don't want it." And I said, "Why? It's all brand new." He says, "Well, do you still want it when the water pump went through the front of the block?" It's how hard he got hit. I said, "The what?" He says, I've seen race cars with the front end completely wrapped around on them. Ain't never seen." He said, "The water pump went through the block into the cylinders." "Oh, yeah, I guess we don't want that one back." He says, "Yeah, no, you don't." I'm like, wow. So, yeah. That was a shame. That motor, that car was a beautiful Cutlass. You got a month of driving it with a V8. So, that's where I'm at. And, okay, it kind of shows up now on this one cylinder I wanted to show too. If you can see the shadowing like that in your cylinders, that's your top ring, that's your second ring, and then your oil ring. And if you can run your finger over that, and you can feel either the ridge, if you can feel the ridge here, if you can feel the ridge, you need to bore it. If you can run your fingers over that and you feel the wave going like this, if you feel a wave there, it needs to be bored. So, I guess that's where I'm at. I don't know. I know I've kind of gotten away from building motors, like doing videos like I used to, but there for a while, things just... I had a pretty nasty bunch of people telling me what I was doing wasn't right and that, blah, 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 and whatever. So, that's where we're at. And I want to try and get back to doing that because there's getting to be too much misinformation put out there. It's getting worse. And if you got just a micrometer, there's no way you're going to measure that cylinder right. You got to have the right stuff. It takes a multitude of tools and the proper stuff to do the proper measurements, diagnostics, everything on doing a motor. Yeah, it's simple. You could tear one down and just throw rings and bearings in it and put new gaskets in and put it back together. Hey, it might be one of the good running motors. Or it could be one of the ones that, what in the blank is wrong? Why ain't this running as good as the last motor? Oh, you know what I got tonight? This is a 30 over ring. I'm going to see if it even fits. Really? Now, holy moly. Since I had to shut the camera off that phone call, nobody's wanted anything to do with me. And within 7 minutes I had 9 calls. 1 for credit cards that I don't have. Oh, I ripped into that gal. I'm just sick and tired of those calls. And then other people, all of a sudden the phone just went stupid. I was trying to get to something because I broke down, I sold my 327 steel crank, large journal. I was going to save it for another 327 build, but I have sold it, which is going to work out good because I got to wait till the weekend though. It's going to work out good because now I can get the rings and bearings and cam bearings for the 5.3 and get that put together. So, but anyway, what I was going to suggest, and I wanted to see how bad the wear was, if it would work. And it almost does. Somebody, I can hear somebody now. But what I did is I took a 30 over ring and put it in there. I was going to see how bad the wear was compared. Well, there's how much the ring overlaps. And I can hear somebody go, well, why don't you just file fit the ring? Then it'd be tight. As if the cylinder is not round, that'll even be worse. So, I mean, that's pretty bad that a 30 thousandths ring almost does fit in that cylinder. Let's see, go down to this little more in the where it's moved a little bit more, but not much. But yeah, hone. This block could, in theory, be honed, but knowing that it's egg-shaped, and there's one of the cylinders, I can't remember if it was number 5 or if it number 8. One of these is already 8 to 9 thousandths larger than what it should be. So that would make for a thumpity, clanking motor. Have a knock that you couldn't find and understand what's going on. What? But so yeah, that's where we're at. And I do have a block for these standard pistons. I just haven't dug it out and got to it. But so yeah, we'll be putting the 5.3 together. Maybe that'll be this live show this weekend. Working on that. But anyway, yeah, I'm just kind of. My neighbor just left. Not only had a phone call, but my neighbor come up, seen me done his daily check-in or so. But I guess I can see a trend developing, and it's not a trend that's going to be good. I mean, it's nah, I ain't even going to get into that. 'Cause, yeah. So yeah, so that's what I'm trying to get back to, is doing a full educational setup. One time we were kicking around the idea of making a DVD. I still got to talk to a lawyer about doing that to see how much I would have to bleep out, or how much, what all that. It's just, yeah. It ain't like back in the days. I mean, you were the first to do it, so no big deal. But now everybody's so worried about copyrights and this and that, and it's, weather must be going to change. That cat is going nuts. The neighbor even like, what's wrong with him? I've never seen him do that. And that's where I've thought about fixing up the old shop too, to have it look more like a studio for doing those. But yes, I'm drinking a pop. I started out so, I don't know. I haven't decided what's going on yet. Doctor says everything's okay, but yeah, can't sleep at night. Can't really function during the day. Kidney area's been hurting. And I thought my lack of energy was because I hadn't had a pop. I thought, well, maybe I'm having a touch of withdrawals. I don't know. I ended up sleeping most of the day away, so then I get home last night and find out I got a busted computer screen now too on my one laptop that I do the videos on. So it's got a port, so I got to plug into the external monitor so I can see. I've got about that much of the screen at the top. The rest of it is gone. It's somebody lost their balance. I ain't going to say who. And they really didn't lose their balance. They just moved it, but I think the lid was open and I think it caught on a shelf and it flexed it. Yeah. So as long as I can plug it into the external monitor, it's good. So I'll do the video on that, but yeah, I'm like, oh, it's just little things here and there. It's just things just adding up to get to where it's driving a person nuts. And maybe that's what I'm dealing with. But I guess that's where I'm kind of getting at too. I don't claim to be an expert at doing this. I don't know, and I've never claimed to know, because you always can be taught different ways. Everybody's got a certain way of doing things, but when you've done stuff that you know fails, and you see somebody else trying to do it. I come across a video too of a guy working on an LS motor, the 5.3, and he was complaining, and then he put up another short video, and he's like, he thought the thrust bearing was wrong because it says it's getting tight. And I looked in the video and I clearly could see the number 5 main, because on these LS motors they're all numbered 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but 1, 2, 3, and 4 go one direction and number 5 goes in backwards from what you would think. And I pointed out, hey bud, you got number 5 on backwards. Well, it popped up in the quarter notification. It says, no, sir, they're all correct. Well, I went back to try and explain to him. Well, in the meantime, he had deleted that comment, and he goes, what the WTF, why did they do that? He says, you were 100% right. Thank you. Then he sent another message. He says, you know, I didn't want to lose any slip over it. He went out and corrected it, and he says, it spins like it's supposed to. So, I mean, I've come across, and here's the thing, there were 69 other people that viewed that video before me. 0 comments. And the guy's like, thanks. I said, well, I learned the hard way myself, so I said, I just happened to notice that. And he said, well, thank you. So, I just don't know. You know what, since this box deck, this will be a good one to go in and do a series on, to explain a few other things that's got to be done to this. But I'm not going to get into those right now. I'm going to somehow I got to go through the pistons I got to see if I got the set that I would like to put in this. Since this is decked, I need to mock up now and see where the piston height rides. He said he only took 10 thousandths off, which that's okay. It should still leave 11 to 12 thousandths pistons clearance, which is going to up their compression just a little, which that's no big deal. But at the same time, that's going to dictate what pistons I put in this thing. And yeah. So yeah, I'm trying to get back the way things used to be, people. And it's going to be a little bit of a rough ride. It's going to be there, but I got one friend, I had him look around, and he says he's found a set of rods for that 350, so we'll see. I don't know. We'll have to get that figured out, but I'm ready to get these motors built, and another guy's getting 2 more of his blocks out of here, which is going to be great. And then we'll go from there. So anyhow, I guess y'all take it easy, and I hope you enjoyed it. If you guys got more questions, hopefully I can answer them. I don't know. I guess if you watched all the way through here, let me know if you really want me to get back to the way I was working on doing engine builds and that. If you really want that to happen, if you feel like it, go to my homepage, and up there in the right hand corner there's a PayPal link where you can make a donation. I'm not going to try Patreon. I'm not going to do all that other stuff. If you really want to help, hit the PayPal button and go from there. So, and also I got to do it yet. I'm going to look into getting maybe some hats and shirts and hoodies or something made up, or I don't know what I do for a design. And if you guys have watched to this point too, if you would think it'd be cool to come up with a design and want to kind of have a little contest to see who could come up with a design, and well, make it worth your time. So anyway, see y'all later. Have a good one and stay safe.